And we will work until we bring these individuals to justice. We do have dozens of individuals that were attending the funeral that we are talking with right now to see if they are witnesses, if they saw anything. So we're working through that. We're following up on all leads. And again, we are confident we'll bring these individuals to justice.
Chief, did this happen inside for folks who were attending, or did someone come into the situation and insert themselves and open fire?
That is still being investigated, but it happened. The gunfire happened outside the church.
Chief, you said shooters. Is that confirmed? It's multiple?
That is not confirmed. We're looking into it.
What do you know about, as far as last we heard was there was a car you were looking for that went north on Redwood Road, is that correct?
Yes.
Have you heard anything further as far as traffic?
We're continuing to investigate that. We're pulling video surveillance from the surrounding area to see if we can identify information there. We are getting a lot of leads coming in from the public, and again, we're confident that we will.
You've got license plate readers here on Redwood and on 7.
Yeah, so we'll be looking into all of those things. Yes.
We saw two gentlemen in handcuffs up the street. Can you tell us how that relates?
So through this process, we have detained individuals. I don't know the current status of that
How many
right
individuals have you detained?
I don't have that number.
Have the number of victims changed?
Not since I think what Glenn gave you is where we're at right now.
Chief, are your gang investigators here, and do you think this is gang connected somehow?
It's probably too early to say it's gang related, but yes, our gang detectives are here, and we're definitely looking at that angle.
How big is the scene? I mean, we got pushed back a little bit, and I know we got Chopper up there showing some things, but how big of a scene are we looking at here as far as looking at the shell casings and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, most of the scene occurred just behind the church there, so that the immediate scene, and then of course we've got some area cordoned off. But the extent of what we've looked at from the initial shooting is right behind the church.
Can you talk about the Valley-wide police response tonight? Can you talk about the Valley-wide police response tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to those agencies who did respond and who are still here helping us. I think that's one of the great things about Utah is that when an incident like this occurs, we all come together. Because this was called out as an active shooter, that's what elicited the type of response.
What can the public do to help you at this point?
So we would ask the public to call our non-emergency line if they have any information, 799-3000. Of course, if there's an emergency, then call 911.
Can you tell us anything more about the nature of the altercation that we heard about that occurred before?
I don't have that information right now, but that that will come out as the investigation progresses.
Have you ID'd the vehicle?
I don't believe that we've ID'd the vehicle.
Any suspect descriptions?
No, we're looking into that right now with the video surveillance. As soon as we get a video surveillance,
Was there video inside the church?
I don't know that.
So video from
we're looking at these surrounding businesses. Yeah, to see anything up this way as well.
It happened at a church. Do we think religion played a part in this at all?
We don't believe this was a targeted attack against against a religion or anything like that. We don't believe at this point that this was random.
How large is the search radius for the suspects? Is it just controlled here, or are you guys searching?
We're going to follow. We're going to search wherever we find leads across this valley.
But again, for the people around, other people, you don't believe other people are in danger as a result of this?
Well, we can't say that. We just had some people shot, but we don't believe that it was. We don't believe. Let's see, how am I saying? We believe this was not a random incident.
Is there any danger to the public with the suspect still at large?
Again, we don't. Again, I'm going to just say it again. We don't believe this was random. So we believe but we can't say. We have people that have shot people that are out in our community, and we're going to keep looking for them until we find them.
But it appears as though whoever opened fire and the folks inside somehow knew one another. These weren't complete strangers. They were at or near the church.
That's what we're investigating.
I'll make brief remarks. Absolutely condolences to the families and the victims. This should never have happened. This should never have happened outside a place of worship. It should not have happened at a celebration of life that was occurring inside of the church tonight. Our condolences continue to grow, and we know that this impacts not only those victims and their families, the community that was at the church, but the entire community here in Salt Lake City and on the west side. I also know that Salt Lake City Police Department, and a great thanks also to our fire department, who have been great partners in collaborating in this incident, are not going to rest until the individuals responsible are brought to justice. Full stop. No matter where they go, we will find them. They will be brought to justice. So we will give you another update before the night ends, and we'll have another moment in the morning to bring any new information or simply tell you that what we know is still what we know. So those are the updates that we have for tonight, and I think we've answered your questions. If there's any more, we don't have any greater information to share with you at this time.
Mayor, real quickly, what do your staff talk about after something like this? I mean, moving forward, I know you can't prevent, but you got to look at things like this probably and have a discussion and think, okay, is there anything we can do? How do we move forward?
You know, while this investigation is still evolving and unfolding, we really can't analyze what was the motivation, how could this have been prevented, except to know that our police department, our fire department respond extremely quickly. Victims who were on site were taken to hospital immediately, and I'm really proud of our police department, our fire department, and grateful for the other agencies who are assisting. Until we know more about this and the investigation gives us more information, we can't start to make assumptions about what happened here or why it happened.
What I can tell you, our officers will not rest until we bring justice, and we will be here for the community. And in the days to come, we will be here in the area, connecting with the community, working with them, doing what we can to make people feel safe. And I want to thank our officers. I also want to thank the fire department and all of the assisting agencies, and thank you to all of them.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, no time to D-Mike.
Yeah, good luck. I hope you can just start off.
Reacting to this tragedy that happened just just a few blocks away from here. Again, we're not learning any more about the suspects at this time. What we are learning, though, is that they have detained some folks. They didn't say how many people have been detained at this point. That's something that they are still keeping close to the vest as this investigation continues. We're also learning that potentially the gang unit is in charge, is taking part of this investigation as well. But again, still not a lot of answers at this point, Brian.
Yeah, Jordan, it's hard to hear you right now. It sounds like maybe we're getting audio from another microphone or whatnot. But let me get you to work on that for a moment, and let's do a quick recap. We've just heard from Salt Lake City Police Chief Brian Redd. Interestingly enough, Salt Lake's fairly new police chief, you remember he was sworn in earlier this year in the springtime, coming over from the Department of Corrections. So this is the first mass shooting situation that we have seen him deal with, although there was the No Kings protest shooting over the summertime where a man, Afa Alu, was shot and killed during the No Kings protest there, Brian Redd, police chief, during that time. So this is not his first critical incident, to say the least. Let's go back to Jordan. We think we got the audio bugs worked out. Jordan, what did you take away from that news conference? I thought it was interesting that earlier tonight we were talking about likely one suspect, but now we're hearing from police they're using the term suspects.
Yeah, that is something that I pinpointed right away, Brian, and asked the chief to clarify, because again, in his statement, he used shooters, plural. And then when I asked to clarify if that means they have confirmed that there are multiple, and he said, no, they don't have that confirmed. So again, that is something that we're still continuing to figure out. And again, I don't know how much what you heard when I recapped a little bit earlier. Again, they have the gang unit on scene investigating. They're not making any assumptions here whether or not this could have been gang related, but the gang unit is a part part of this investigation to find out if that is a piece of this. One thing they said is that there is no evidence that this was any type of hate crime against the members of the church, that it was not a random incident here, seemed to be contained to whatever was taking place at this viewing here for that family member that had passed away a few days ago that we heard from the cousin of a little bit earlier tonight. And again, the victim number has not changed, but what we have learned is that these are all adult victims. That was a question in our mind of the age range in here. They described them all as adults. The same number, again, hasn't changed. 8 people in total. 2 are dead, 3 in critical condition, the others in unknown condition at this point as they continue to gather more information. And another thing is, there's been, we heard from Bion earlier that someone may have been detained, and we asked if these are known suspects. They said no suspects that they know of have actually been arrested at this point, but they do say that they have detained some people. And I asked how many people have they detained. They weren't able to give that number as well. So again, it seems that this investigation is still coming together, but they've learned a lot, they said, from tips from the public, as well as getting video surveillance footage from places around the church. So again, we're still developing this story. We're expecting another update tonight, is what they said. Hopefully more information on who they believe these suspects are. And again, we talked about the search for these suspects a little bit earlier, Brian. You know, they're used to the helicopters. And I asked, well, how large is this search radius? Because, you know, that can kind of maybe tell us how close they are. And the only answer we got from the chief there is that they are willing to go all across the valley to find the people responsible, Brian.
Well, and you know, Utah's a big state. It's a big place. The metro is large. The outlying areas are large. There are many places someone could flee and attempt to hide from police. Jordan, now that we know that there are likely several suspects, what are some of the tools that the police could use to try to track these people down? I know that we have an extensive network of traffic cameras. No doubt that is going to be a tool here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be checking any type of surveillance that could have picked up anything that happened anywhere around this meeting house tonight for this viewing. They're going to use traffic cameras. They're going to try to identify suspect vehicles if they were able to flee by vehicle, or try to pick them up on foot as well. Again, when a situation like this occurs, first and foremost, you see the large police presence that is still here tonight. And it's not just Salt Lake City police. There are police from all across the valley. When there is a call for an active shooter situation, which is what they were called in here, they bring everybody. Everybody responds from the county level throughout the valley to try to get as many resources as possible to aid in this situation. Again, that search for a suspect, the other thing they're going to rely on is talking to witnesses and talking to family members that were at this viewing to see if there's any connection there, if it's maybe members of the family or people who they knew, to try to figure out and pinpoint who this is. Again, police not revealing tonight, Brian, if the suspects are known, if there's somebody that they're specifically searching for, if there's any description. Of course, that would help the public at home to keep on the lookout, but that's not something they are releasing at this time.
No, the police often know more than they are releasing. Let's go now, continuing our team coverage, Jordan, with our Bion Wang. Let's bring him into the fold. He has another vantage point that we want to show you. Bion, where are you and what are you seeing?
Brian, we're on the south side of the church. There is quite an active scene along this main road, as there's about a half-mile blocked off by officials on the north and south end of Redwood Road. I don't know if we get the best vantage point of this, but we just saw a bunch of officials in tactical gear. Todd, if we could go ahead and zoom in on that black truck right now, a number of them are inside that black truck. It looks like they huddled up for a few minutes to discuss something, get back in those vehicles. You've seen they breaking down the police crime scene tape there. And then we saw another tactical gear group in a white truck that just drove south along Redwood. And you guys have been talking about this manhunt. We learned that there are suspects involved in this, not just a single suspect. Well, about 15 minutes ago, I captured some photos of officials seemingly taking someone into custody there's nuance with somebody being officially arrested and just being detained for questioning, but as you could imagine, all the commotion happened when those shots rang out. Officials aren't going to take any chances. Now, they said that this didn't appear to be a random shooting. What I gathered from that is this isn't just some random person walking off the street targeting an LDS church, but that there was a reason that this happened. They described it as an altercation at first. I don't know if we could cue up those photos that I snapped earlier, but it just goes to show how fluid this scene is. I was out here talking to family members, talking to neighbors, and then all of a sudden you see officials walk out of this alleyway. Let's go ahead and pan over this way, Todd. As I mentioned, we're on the south side of the church, right? If we take this live look now, you see this little alleyway. There's a fence there separating a residential area, apartments, with the actual church. And as we're all talking amongst ourselves, officials walk out with that individual you guys saw there in the photos, put them behind a police car, and then they drive off. 5 minutes after that, we see about 7-8 police officers walk in that direction where that unit drove off with who may presumably be a suspect. And look, this is so fluid that if witnesses see this commotion, they're probably pointing people out to officials. So maybe that person is just being questioned. We don't know at this time. I didn't gather from that press conference anyone being arrested. I don't think the police chief or the public information officer, whoever it was, said anybody was arrested, but there's something to keep in mind here. A lot of times those public information officers get briefed, they gather their information, and then they go and present that information. This happened just a few minutes before. They don't always get real-time information, as you have so many investigators and police officers on the scene still going through this community. You want to know why? Because there are so many residential areas here. Even though they are, saying that there's 8 victims in this, they still have to go to residences like the one you're seeing on your screen right now to make sure that there wasn't any bullet ricochet, any stray bullets that went through any of the homes and injured someone, as we've reported on in the past. Now, I know you guys are pulling up that footage. I'll quiet down here for a second so we can listen to those gunshots captured on that Ring camera footage. Let's take a listen. Okay, so we obtained that footage from Brenna and Kenna. Let's come out live now in case you guys were still in that audio while I was talking. We obtained that footage from Brenna and Kenna, who live in the apartments adjacent to the church. Guys, you were telling me about what you were doing when all of a sudden you hear these gunshots go off.
Yeah, we were just enjoying a nice evening together, watching TV, and all of a sudden, you hear multiple shots ring out, and it's all after the holidays, so it makes you think and wonder, were those fireworks? But no, those were actual gunshots, and I jumped up off the couch really quickly and ran over to see what was going on and see if I could help, whatever I could do to just observe and be there and be present in the neighborhood, so that way, like you said, those law enforcement officers could get as much information as they can to locate and do anything that they need.
You guys hear this, you guys take caution, you come outside, and then you see a huge commotion. Describe that scene for us.
Super crazy, because on your way over in flip-flops, right, you're running over into an area that I know well, because I do manage this area, and it's crazy to think that even though we live here and we're residents of this area, that things could happen in a blink of an moment.
Were people frantic? I believe you guys saw what happened, not the shooting itself. You guys saw the aftermath before law enforcement got here. What was that like?
Yeah, so we heard it, pulled up our camera, and I'm sure it's being put everywhere. But we've heard the last maybe 2 or 3 shots, and he ran out first. I locked up, turned everything off, and ran out with him, and then he got here and he said there's no police here yet, but you called 911. He was put on hold. So many people were calling in. It made us feel good because we're like, hey, we've got people looking out for us, like neighbors and friends. Police very quickly flew in and drove up. And then when I came here, there was about 4 cops here. There were people crying and wailing. We could hear it from our front door across the street. It was really alarming, and that's what he just grabbed his phone and he booked it out here.
And I was describing to our viewers the moment that we saw officials walked to a police car with what appeared to be a male wearing all black clothing in handcuffs.
Yes.
What did you make of that? We were just casually talking here, and it goes to show how fluid the situation was. Was that surprising to see?
I was surprised, but at the same time not. Just because I remember seeing it, and I just literally grabbed everyone and just went like this, and just, there he is, and at least one of them, and black bun, and he was fully in handcuffs, 2 police officers with him, and it was a relief because at least one of them is taken in, and we're glad that they were very thorough. I mean, the police were very thorough. We told them where people hide on this property, where they hide around the church, and they immediately left and looked right away.
Brendan, I saw you shaking your head as Brendan was describing that. Kenna, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, it is crazy because I've lived here ever since I was a kid, and there's a lot of talk about this neighborhood, a lot of talk about crime just in this neighborhood, and it happened just so close to home, very, very close, and it's concerning. It really is.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, Kenna, I'm so glad you guys are safe tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here. Okay. Thank you. So, guys, that's the information that we're gathering over here. This has completely shaken this community. These aren't the only residences around. There are residential homes here on the east side as well. And I don't know how clear of a shot we could get, but Todd, if we go ahead and kind of zoom in, you could see the businesses in this area too. It's not just witness accounts police are counting on. It's also, the businesses. Do they have any surveillance camera? That is a maverick that we're kind of getting a shot of right now. Parallel to that, adjacent to that, I should say, a McDonald's business. So whenever you have a mass casualty shooting like this, multiple suspects, it is so critical that you get that information, you gather that information as a police officer as fast as possible, because it takes a little bit of time, even if it's just a minute, for police to respond to a situation like this. And in fact, if one of the shooters drove away in a vehicle, who knows how far they could get. But we know that clearly the entire police force isn't here, but I've done a lot of stories like this, and it seems like there is an entire police force here. Salt Lake City PD, obviously the leads in this investigation, but you better believe that they're queuing up nearby agencies too, in case they're getting any intel of a potential suspect in that area. I want to end with this before I toss it back. People are asking me, hey, how come they haven't given a description of the suspects? How come we're not getting, a name or what they look like or what they're wearing? In these kind of situations, if police needs the media's help or the public's help, they will release a description. But as we heard in both press conferences, they are getting a lot of leads. Some of the victims may have been known to the shooter. Some of the witnesses who saw the shooting may have known who these are. So if they're giving that description to officers, they want to keep that close to their vest and be able to pull up addresses, go to places that they may frequent to bring these suspects into custody after a very tragic shooting in front of this LDS meeting house.
Bayan, you
Brian,
bring up you bring up a good point here, and that is the fact that police, the way they message, the way they communicate, can tell you things about the investigation and perhaps where it's going. We heard earlier that officers from the gang unit are looking into potential gang ties here. And so that speaks to the point you made about perhaps police are getting a better idea of who may have done this, or the people who may be connected to the shooting. But that kind of information comes out, and police act on it as they get it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you want to bring in every single unit you have in terms of a gang unit or, someone who is specifically trained in homicides, because if there happens to be 3, 4, 5 suspects, how do you delegate your resources to make sure that each one of them are apprehended? And so the communication is critical here, and that's why they don't take any chances. You bring out as many officers as possible. You queue up as many nearby agencies as you can, because this is fluid. This is turned into a barricade situation. As someone heading down I-15 South right now trying to get away from this, especially when it happens in such a public area like this, in front of the LDS meeting house. You have a lot of cameras in the area. You have a lot of residences in this area. Sure, it's dark. There are some, lights in the area too. And especially if witnesses know who these suspects are, if you're the suspect, you better believe that you're probably thinking that they're tipping off officers. So the suspect's probably trying to get away as fast as they can, maybe go to back to their home, and officials right now are trying to locate them. So they don't always bring out the gang unit for any shooting. I mean, I've been to multiple shootings and they don't say, oh yeah, the gang unit's out here, but it's the information that's communicated to them that leads them to make these kinds of decisions, Brian.
Yeah, Bayan, thank you very much. We appreciate the reporting and the perspective there. We'll check in with you after a while. Important to note here, police have not said how many suspects there may be. There is still some question about that. Recently, police have begun using suspects in the plural form. There still may be one, there may be several. We don't know yet, but that is the latest from police as they track down leads. I want to